Every time you walk into the room, your fish comes to the glass. You've seen it 1,000 times. You probably think you know why. You're wrong. What's actually happening when your fish does that has nothing to do with hunger and nothing to do with habit. There is a body of research on fish cognition that most pet owners have never heard because it was never written for pet owners. It was written for scientists. And what it says about your fish, about what they're capable of, about what they actually experience, will completely change how you see that tank. I want to tell you one thing before we start. By the end of this video, I'm going to tell you what it means when a fish that always came to the glass suddenly stops. Most owners miss it entirely, and most of them wish they hadn't. Fish are the third most popular pet in the United States. More households have fish than have birds, rabbits, or reptiles. And yet, fish are probably the most misunderstood pet in existence. We call them low maintenance. We say they're relaxing to watch. We keep them in a box of water and assume that's enough. But here's what the science has been quietly showing us for the last 2 decades. Your fish is not a decoration. It is not a living screensaver. It is a cognitively complex animal with a memory, a personality, the ability to recognize your face, and a stress response that works almost identically to yours. And almost nobody knows. 1. Your fish knows your face. In 2016, researchers at the University of Queensland published a study on archerfish, a species known for their ability to spit jets of water to knock insects off branches above the surface. The scientists showed the fish photographs of human faces and trained them to spit at a specific face to receive food. Then, they introduced new faces, altered photos, changed lighting, changed expressions, changed backgrounds. The fish correctly identified the original face with an accuracy rate of up to 86%. 86%! Without a neocortex, the brain region humans and mammals use for complex recognition, these fish were performing facial recognition at a level that rivals what primates can do. Now, archerfish are not the fish most people keep at home, but this study cracked something open. It proved that fish can distinguish individual human faces. And follow-up research on other species, cichlids, bettas, even goldfish, found the same capacity for individual recognition in different ways, which means something important about that moment. When you walk into the room and your fish comes to the glass, they are not reacting to a blurry shape of a human. They are reacting to you. 2. The 3-second memory is one of the biggest lies in pet culture. You have probably heard this your entire life. Goldfish have a 3-second memory. They just swim around, forget everything, start over. It is completely false, and the research buried it years ago. Scientists at Macquarie University in Australia trained fish to press a lever at a specific time each day to receive food. The fish learned the timing. They returned to the lever reliably at the right time day after day. A separate set of experiments showed fish retaining spatial memory, remembering the layout of their environment, the location of objects, the position of exits, for periods of up to 3 months. 3 months! Other research found fish remembering individual tank mates, the outcome of previous confrontations with other fish, and the location of food sources they hadn't visited in weeks. Your fish remembers you walked past without feeding them this morning. Your fish remembers the sound your footsteps make. Your fish has a map of every corner of their tank and a history of every interaction you've had with them. The 3-second memory was never supported by evidence. It was just a story people repeated because it made it easier to think of fish as disposable. They are not disposable. 3. They have personalities, individual ones. This one tends to surprise people, even people who've kept fish for years. In 2011, researchers at the University of Exeter published a study measuring individual behavioral differences in sticklebacks, small freshwater fish common in the wild. They measured boldness, exploration behavior, risk tolerance, and social interaction across dozens of individual fish. What they found was that the differences between individual fish were stable over time, consistent across contexts, and predictive of future behavior. In other words, they found personalities. Not just species-wide traits, individual personalities. This fish is bolder than that fish. This one is more cautious. That one explores. That one waits. Subsequent research found the same thing in zebrafish, in cichlids, in trout. Think about what this means for your tank. The fish that always comes to the front glass when you approach. The one that hides behind the decoration every time you reach in. the one that eats aggressively, and the one that hangs back and waits. Those are not random behaviors, those are personalities. Consistent ones that existed before you got them and will persist as long as they live. Your fish is not interchangeable with any other fish of the same species. They are an individual. 4. They feel stress, chemically, the same way you do. Here is something fish researchers have known for years that almost never makes it into the conversation pet owners are having. Fish produce cortisol. Cortisol is the primary stress hormone in vertebrates. In humans, cortisol rises during fear, pain, social threat, and chronic anxiety. Elevated cortisol over time suppresses the immune system, impairs memory, disrupts sleep, and accelerates physical decline. Fish have the same hormone, the same response, the same consequences. Research published in the journal Physiology and Behavior showed that fish subjected to chronic stressors, overcrowding, unstable water parameters, repeated disturbances, showed sustained cortisol elevation that lasted days after the stressor was removed. Their immune function dropped, disease rates increased, behavior changed. A separate set of studies found that fish transferred to new environments showed cortisol spikes comparable to what you would see in a mammal experiencing acute fear. Your fish experiences chronic stress, and it damages them the same way chronic stress damages you. The difference is that your fish cannot tell you they're suffering. They do not cry, they do not whimper, they do not show pain the way a dog or cat does. They just get quieter, slower, less like themselves. And most owners call that a fish being low maintenance. 5. They learn your schedule. Remember what I said at the beginning. Your fish comes to the glass when you walk in. Here is what is actually happening. Fish have a timekeeping system embedded in their biology. Circadian rhythms governed by light cycles and repeated environmental patterns. Research on a range of freshwater species has shown that fish can anticipate feeding times with striking accuracy, showing increased activity and positioning near the feeding area before food is even introduced. But it goes further than feeding time. In studies where fish were fed by a specific person, same individual, consistent schedule, the fish showed differential responses to that person compared to unfamiliar humans. More approach behavior, more time spent near the surface, more activity in their presence. They were not responding to a food signal. Food hadn't appeared yet. They were responding to the person. Your fish has been watching you long enough to learn your patterns. The sound of the door, the light that changes when you enter the room, the vibration of your footsteps through the floor, the specific frequency of your presence. And when those signals align, they come to the glass. Not because they're hungry, because they've learned that you are the event. Everything else happens around you. Now here's where this gets more serious. Because everything we've talked about so far, the recognition, the memory, the stress response, the way they learn you, it all points to one thing. Your fish can suffer in ways you cannot see. And the next section of this video is about the signals they're sending that most owners walk past every single day, including the one I mentioned at the beginning, the one about what it means when they stop coming to the glass. Stay with me. 6. Color change is not just biological, it's emotional. Most fish owners know that fish can change color. They think of it as a health indicator. Pale fish means sick fish. That's true, but it's only half the picture. Research on cichlids, one of the most studied fish families in behavioral science, found that color intensity is directly linked to social and emotional state. Dominant fish in stable, enriched environments show deeper, more vivid coloration. Fish under chronic stress or in socially hostile tank conditions showed measurable color fading even when water chemistry was perfect. The fish was not sick in the clinical sense, it was stressed. And the color was telling you. Bettas respond the same way, so do many tetras, guppies, and gouramis. Brightness, saturation, pattern clarity, these are not just health metrics, they are emotional displays. Your fish's color is one of the most honest things it can show you. A fish that was vivid last month and is faded today is not just aging. Something in their world has shifted. The question is whether you're paying close enough attention to notice. 7. When they stop coming to the glass, listen. We started with this. Your fish comes to the glass when you walk in. Now I want to tell you what happens when they stop. Fish are creatures of pattern. Behavioral consistency is one of the strongest indicators of health and well-being in aquatic animals. When a fish that has reliably done something for months, approached the glass, come to the surface at feeding time, occupied a specific area of the tank, suddenly stops, there is always a reason. Sometimes it is environmental, a change in water temperature, even a degree or two, a shift in lighting, a new tank mate that has disrupted the hierarchy, something you may not have noticed because it happened gradually. Sometimes it is physical. Pain and illness in fish manifest as behavioral withdrawal before any visible physical symptoms appear. A fish that suddenly hides, sits on the bottom, stops eating, or stops responding to your presence may be fighting an infection, a parasite, or an internal injury that has no outward sign yet. Veterinary researchers who study fish health consistently cite behavioral change as the earliest reliable indicator of illness, appearing days or even weeks before fin deterioration, lesions, or obvious physical decline. Your fish cannot tell you where it hurts. It cannot limp over to you. It cannot put its head in your lap. What it can do is stop showing up. And if you understand what that coming to the glass behavior actually was, recognition, routine, a learned response to a specific person, then you understand what its absence really means. It is not your fish being moody. It is your fish telling you something has changed in their world. And now you know enough to listen. We've been keeping fish in tanks for thousands of years, and for most of that time, we looked at them the way we look at wallpaper, beautiful, calming, there. But the science that has accumulated over the last 2 decades tells a different story entirely. Your fish has a face it recognizes as yours, a memory that stretches months, a personality that is distinctly its own, a stress response that is chemically identical to fear in humans, a relationship to your schedule that was built over time, through observation, through pattern, through whatever passes for familiarity in a mind we are only beginning to understand. The fish at the glass when you walk in is not waiting for food. It is doing something more fundamental than that. It is acknowledging the one presence in its environment that it has come to associate with safety, with routine, with the rhythm of its day. You. That's not a small thing. For an animal with no voice, no gesture, no way to reach across the glass and say anything at all, showing up is everything. If this changed the way you see what's in that tank, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And drop a comment below. Does your fish come to the glass when you walk in? How long have you had them? I want to know. Because I think most people reading those comments are going to realize something important. They weren't just keeping a fish, they were being watched every single day.